Hi, we're group 3, and we're going to briefly talk about ICER report for type 2 diabetes. I'm Lule.
I'm Nike.
吴俊言，
爱心。
I'm 浩南。
Firstly, who is ICER? It is a non-profit organization, and it found in 2006. ICER is very different from any other entity. ICER works independently without any pharmaceutical industry, insurance companies, and a government. ICER's goal is to show the true value of the drug and help patients to access. Next, please. And yes, we care about ICER. The key reason is ICER has an independent source and has a value-based price benchmarker, and ICER can make a report of it. Next, please. About ICER's report, it lasts for 8 months. Patients and manufacturers and other stakeholders can engage to it to providing their opinions and feedbacks. Next, please. ICER has its own value assessment framework. It's basically broken into two parts, the long-term part and short-term part. In the long term, ICER focusing on comparative effectiveness. This all goes into a cost-effectiveness analysis, and we need to take willingness to pay into considerations. ICER has multiple thresholds, and mostly they take 3 into their intervention considerations, and to see if it cost effective at each willingness to pay threshold. And then we calculate incremental cost effectiveness. ICER used two measure method, QALY and EVLYG. And due to the discriminatory effect of QALY, ICER uses EVLYG as their top measurement. But ICER will continue to remain QALY for stakeholders to consider both of them depending on their situations. For other benefit like ethical problem, it goes beyond clinical outcomes. And for short term, ICER use a budget impact model to focus on problem of affordability. And in general, they calculate the total differential cost of using each new therapy for treated population. Next, please. And ICER's strength is the stakeholders can use ICER to help manage their assess and focus future pricing work more efficiently, and ICER bring it into different perspective to consider it. And ICER's limitation is it is risky for individual payers and basically the time problems. Next, please. That's the whole background understanding of ICER. And for our drug for type 2 diabetes, we'll introduce key findings from ICER's report we think is worth to know for our drug, and also evaluate ICER's assessment to give out our recommendation and strategies. Next, please.
For the basic model description and methodology used in the ICER of this drug, the first one is key comparative clinical effectiveness parameters. ICER examination the clinical effectiveness of tirzepatide added to background therapy versus background therapy alone or injectable semaglutide or empagliflozin added on background therapy in adults with T2DM. When compared directly with injectable semaglutide, the drug more effective in lowering HbA1c or other norms, and also with higher incidence of gastrointestinal side effects and serious adverse events. Next slide, please. Secondly, regarding the budget for the cost, also have the model cited in ICER. The model steps will use event micro simulation and the calculation of mean result from the pool of simulated patients' lifetime outcomes. Next slide, please. And the conclusion of the model is that tirzepatide was estimated to produce the higher QLYs of all considered therapies through its 95% QLY credible ranges for active comparators overlapped with in parallel consideration of the all modern parameters and the specific risk engine inclusion coefficients through a healthcare sector perspective, and about other outcomes such as scenario analysis. Next slide, please. For the key findings in the of the tirzepatide for this drug, the first one is long-term cost effectiveness analysis of the tirzepatide. It showed that higher average lifetime discount QLY of all treatments evaluated, and an incremental cost effectiveness ratio of less than $100,000 when using the same assumed price as semaglutide for injection compared to the all comparator drugs. For second, setting and analyzing cost effectiveness threshold, the drug plus background therapy versus semaglutide plus background therapy, the threshold analysis show different QLY benefits. Next slide, please. And the second is HBPB definition and application. The drug versus semaglutide result in QLY against different number thresholds, and the drug also has a price advance. The last fund is budget impact and market share analysis. So the last result is that the budget impact threshold is approximately $734 million per year. Next slide, please.
So BEAM shows that our product is superior in both efficacy and price. As shown, 14.4% of eligible patients could be treated within 5 years, reaching $50,000 per quality at $5,200. The images depict the potential budgetary impact for tirzepatide at the placeholder price and the 3 threshold prices, respectively. Next slide, please. For manufacturers, the interpretation of BEAM results in the ICER report helps them estimate the market share, determination market shares, prices, adjust the WAC based on the results of using placeholder prices, and etc. In addition, the impact of ICER on payers is extremely important for manufacturers. Manufacturers should consider the indirect costs of the overall economics of the product, focus on threshold correlation analysis, explore appropriate patient assistance programs, and may even consider developing product-appropriate economic models to aid in negotiations with payers. Next slide, please. And overall, our product has the following shortcomings: severe gastrointestinal reactions, high discontinuation rates, and incomplete data. This may affect the real-world acceptance and adherence to the drug. In addition, the product lacks CVOT data, which is important for improving the value of efficacy. Next slide, please. And next, our suggestions are given in the context of the previous information and the manufacturing recommendations given by ICER, which believes that manufacturers should consider pricing diabetes therapeutics based on the value of patient-centered therapy. We believe that our promotion needs to highlight the significant clinical benefits of the product. Transparency should be used when addressing the shortcomings. This will lead to more support from patients and physicians and increased trust and so on. The financial impact on patients is also an important factor to consider. Next slide, please.
Okay, I'd like to discuss key recommendations from the report, a recent IC report, focusing on recommendation 2 and 3. These recommendations address critical aspects of clinical trial diversity for tirzepatide and the importance of not impeding the development and availability of generic drugs. Let's first take recommendation 2 into consideration, which underscores the need for enhanced clinical trial diversity for tirzepatide. ICER widely expresses concern over the insufficient representation of minority populations in current clinical trial data, especially given the high prevalence of type 2 diabetes in these groups. To address this, we propose several strategies. Firstly, manufacturers should actively build collaborative relationships with patient groups and healthcare professionals. These partnerships are crucial for designing effective recruitment and programs that specifically target minority populations. Secondly, community outreach campaigns are essential. By engaging with communities and raising awareness about the importance of clinical trial participation, especially within minority groups, we can overcome potential barriers and encourage broader participation. Lastly, we recommend periodic evaluations and adjustments, regular assessments of the effectiveness of diversity in clinical trials, with positive adjustments based on data results, ensure that novel therapies contribute to improved generalizability of findings, ultimately promoting health equity. Next up, please. Moving on to recommendation 3, ICER emphasizes the importance of not hindering the development and availability of generic drugs, particularly in light of the impending patent expiration. In response, we propose that manufacturers explore affordable alternatives, including launching cost-effective versions of existing drugs or alternative formulations. Considering the upcoming patent expiration, there's a need for a strategic approach to ensure affordability and accessibility for patients. That's to say, while legally and reasonably extending patent limitations might be more profitable from a manufacturer's perspective, it is essential to prioritize patients' needs and the broader context of recommendations 1 and 2. Next slide, please.
So for the additional recommendation of the ICER report, we could also add some recommendations from other perspectives, including stakeholders and government. The first one is about hero strategy development. The second one is about communication with the ICER, and the third one is about improving clinical data. The first one is about enhancing economic models. Additionally, we can take the stakeholder engagement, public relations, and advocacy. And the last one is about policy and access strategies. For the conclusion, we can say that introduce the asset background and how does it work, key findings which are meaningful for the manufacturer or other stakeholders to pay attention to in order to have a better understanding of the value of the tirzepatide. The third one is about the treatment option and clinical benefits, side effects and analysis potential cost effectiveness. For payers and manufacturers, the ICER report provides a comprehensive assessment data underscores the need for mindful pricing strategies. And the last one is about as healthcare and landscape involved therapies has place in treatment in regimens will be shaped by the ongoing research and real-world patient experience. That's all for our project. Thank you.